right, listeners, get ready for today's deep dive. We're heading into the world of meme coins, but with a twist.
A twist, huh?
You bet. You brought us a whole stack of articles about Sanzivano, or SOA, as the cool kids call it.
SOA. Huh. I've seen that one floating around.
Yeah, and it seems like they're trying to be more than just another flash in the pan. They're building something interesting.
More than a meme coin. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Exactly. So set the stage for anyone who might not be familiar with meme coins.
We're talking about the likes of Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, those kinds of players.
Right, coins that are often born out of online jokes or trends. They go viral and boom, suddenly everyone's talking about them.
And trading them, which can lead to some wild price swings.
Exactly. So SOA is launching in a world that's already pretty saturated with these meme coins.
But they're trying to stand out. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
Okay, so first impressions. SOA, ancient Egyptian theme. Anubis, the dog-headed god.
Not your typical Shiba Inu puppy dog eyes, that's for sure.
Definitely not. It feels like they're trying to tap into something a bit more, how do I put it?
Sophisticated.
Sophisticated. I like that. Like they're saying, hey, we're here for the memes, but we're also bringing something new to the table.
And that something new that everyone keeps mentioning is utility.
Right, utility. Like these tokens actually have a purpose beyond just being traded.
Exactly. The articles highlight how SOA is supposed to be like a key piece of this whole ecosystem they're building. AnuCrypto.com.
AnuCrypto.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where things start to get interesting.
Right. So within this ecosystem, SOA holders will get access to things like governance rights.
So they have a say in how the project evolves.
Exactly. They can vote on proposals and things like that. Then there are the rewards.
Rewards, like earning more SOA just for holding it.
That's one way to think about it. But there are other ways to earn rewards, too. We'll dive into that later. And then there are special features within AnuCrypto.com that are exclusive to SOA holders.
So it's like owning a VIP pass to a very exclusive club.
Exactly. It's a far cry from those meme coins that rely solely on hype and hoping the price goes up.
Okay, so they've got a unique theme, and they're promising utility.
Yeah.
But what about the nuts and bolts? The tokenomics?
Yes, the heart of any crypto project. So the articles mention a total supply of 1 billion SOA tokens.
1 billion. That's a pretty standard number.
Yeah, you see that a lot. But the breakdown of how those tokens are allocated is where things get interesting.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so 30% is allocated to liquidity pools.
Essential for trading. Makes sense.
But then you've got 25% set aside for rewards and engaging the community.
25%, that's a big chunk dedicated to the community.
Exactly. And then another 20% is dedicated to governance.
Wow, so that's over 75% of the total supply dedicated to making the ecosystem thrive.
It seems like they've studied what works and maybe more importantly, what doesn't work in other projects.
Okay, but let's break this down for someone who's hearing all this for the first time and thinking, maybe I should check out this SOA thing.
Right, so let's say you're interested in investing in SOA. What does all this mean for you?
Well, 25% for rewards sounds nice. But how do people actually earn those rewards?
So let's imagine you're active in the SOA community. You're creating content. You're participating in discussions on AnuCrypto.com.
You're contributing to the project's growth.
Exactly.
Wow.
And SOA wants to reward that kind of engagement.
Makes sense. It's like getting paid for being a brand ambassador.
Kind of, but they're not stopping there. There's also a 10% allocation specifically for marketing, and another 10% for something called a burn strategy.
Wait, hold on. Burning tokens. Isn't that like throwing money away?
Okay, so burning tokens might sound counterintuitive, but it's actually a pretty common tactic in the crypto world.
How does that benefit anyone, especially someone who's thinking about investing?
Think of it this way. By periodically destroying a portion of the total supply, they're making the remaining SOA tokens more scarce.
Scarcity drives up value. Okay, I'm starting to follow.
It's like a limited edition collectible. The fewer there are, the more valuable they potentially become.
Okay, so it's less about throwing money away and more about controlling supply and demand.
Exactly. But the question is, how do they actually burn these tokens? Do they just randomly pick a bunch and hit delete?
Yeah, I'm picturing a giant bonfire of digital tokens.
Not quite. The articles describe a system of manual burns. So the team behind SOA decides when and how much to burn, based on different factors.
So there's an actual strategy involved.
Right. They might decide to burn tokens after hitting certain milestones in their roadmap or to adjust to market conditions.
So they're not just randomly setting tokens on fire.
Nope. It's a calculated move. Oh, and by the way, the team also has a 5% allocation of tokens.
Interesting. So it's not just about the community. The team has some skin in the game, too.
Exactly. which can be seen as a good thing. It shows they're invested in the project's success.
Okay, so we've got this burn strategy in place. But how does that tie in with the whole community governance thing we talked about earlier?
Ah, great question. So if users have a say in how the platform evolves, maybe they'll also have some influence on the burn strategy.
Right, like they could propose when and how much to burn.
Exactly. It all goes back to SOA's core philosophy. They're not just handing you a token, they're offering you a seat at the table.
So you're not just along for the ride, you're in the driver's seat.
Precisely. And that brings us to the heart of what makes SOA so intriguing. They're trying to build a truly community-driven project.
Crypto democracy.
I like that.
Yeah.
But we'll dive more into that in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, listeners. We left off talking about how Sands of Anu wants to be more than just another meme coin. They're mixing utility, community involvement, and this strategic burn strategy.
Like a crypto cocktail shaken, not stirred.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one question that keeps popping up in my mind is, can a decentralized community really govern a project effectively?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's something that a lot of crypto projects are wrestling with.
Too much control from the top can feel, well, stifling.
Right, like you're being micromanaged, but then handing the reins over to a large and potentially diverse community, that comes with its own set of challenges.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've got people from all over the world with different levels of experience, different investment goals, maybe even different ideas about what SOA should be.
Right. How do you get everyone on the same page and moving in the same direction? That's a tough one.
And let's not forget the potential for drama.
Oh, yeah. Strong personalities, conflicting opinions, maybe even some bad actors trying to manipulate the system for their own gain. It can get messy.
It can get very messy. So how does SOA plan to navigate these potential pitfalls?
Well, that's what makes their approach to community governance so interesting. They're not just saying, here's the platform, do whatever you want. They're actually building the tools and frameworks to guide that community involvement.
So it's like they're providing the guardrails to keep things from going off the tracks.
Exactly. The articles mention a multi-layered governance system with different levels of participation and voting power.
So it's not just about casting a simple yes or no vote.
Right. It's about encouraging thoughtful discussion and debate within the community.
And this is where the structure of AnuCrypto.com comes into play.
Ah, yes. The heart of the SOA ecosystem.
It's not just a trading platform. It's a forum, a meeting place, a virtual town hall where these discussions can happen.
Exactly. Remember those features we talked about in part 1?
Yeah.
The live chat rooms, the polls, the content creation rewards.
It all starts to make sense now.
Right. Those chat rooms become hubs for brainstorming ideas. The polls help gauge community sentiment. And the rewards incentivize people to share their knowledge and perspectives.
It's like they're building a mini society within the crypto world.
And the key word here is transparency. They want everything to be out in the open.
So that everyone feels like they're part of the decision-making process.
Imagine a scenario where the community is debating a new feature or a change to the burn rate.
Instead of relying on rumors or speculation, they have access to all the information they need to make an informed decision.
Exactly. It's about moving away from those knee-jerk reactions and emotional decisions that we often see in the crypto world.
And towards a more thoughtful and collaborative approach.
Precisely. But let's be real. Building a well-informed and engaged community doesn't happen overnight.
It takes time, effort, and a lot of trust.
Couldn't agree more. And that's why SOA has laid out this 5-phase roadmap. It's not about launching a token and hoping for the best. It's about carefully cultivating a thriving ecosystem over time.
So they're playing the long game.
Exactly. And that's refreshing to see in a space that's often focused on short-term gains.
Okay, so let's dive into this roadmap. What's happening in phase 1?
Phase 1 is all about laying the foundation, launching the SOA token, setting up those liquidity pools, getting the word out, and building that initial community.
So it's like planting the seed.
Exactly. And then in phase 2, things start to ramp up.
How so?
Well, this is where they activate those governance reserves we talked about. Remember that 20% allocation dedicated to governance?
Right.
This is where it comes into play. They're also kicking off their marketing campaigns, spreading the word, and really starting to build momentum.
So the community starts to find its voice. The platform starts to take shape and things are moving.
Exactly. Then we move into phase 3, where the utility of SOA really starts to blossom.
Okay, tell me more.
So this is where we'll see those exciting new features on AnuCrypto.com, more community events, and the initiation of those strategic burns.
So the seed we planted in phase 1 is starting to sprout.
Precisely. And this is also where the community can start flexing their governance muscles, proposing changes, voting on new features, and really shaping the direction of the platform.
I can feel the excitement building. And then what happens in phase 4?
Phase 4 focuses on maturing those governance systems, introducing even more advanced utilities for SOA holders, and aiming for a level of functionality that's rarely seen in the meme coin space.
It's about refining the tools and processes, making sure the community can effectively steer the project towards long-term success.
And finally, we reach Phase 5, the pinnacle of the roadmap.
What's the end game here?
Phase 5 is all about global expansion and strategic partnerships, solidifying SOA's position in the crypto landscape and creating a lasting impact.
It's an ambitious vision, that's for sure. But here's a thought. The success of this roadmap hinges on one crucial element.
The community.
Exactly. The community is the engine that drives this entire project.
If they're not engaged, if they're not passionate, if they don't believe in the vision, then even the most well-crafted roadmap won't get them very far.
So it's not just about building a platform. It's about fostering a sense of ownership, a shared purpose, a feeling that we're all in this together.
And that's where the humor, the memes, the lightheartedness of SOA comes in. It's not just about serious business. It's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable, where they can have fun, where they can connect with each other.
It's like building a community garden. You need fertile soil, you need sunshine, you need water, but you also need people who are passionate about tending to those plants.
Nurturing them, watching them grow.
And that's what SOA is trying to do.
It's a fascinating approach. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this community dynamic evolves as we move through these phases.
Will they face internal conflicts? Will they overcome challenges together? Will they stay united in their vision for SOA? Those are the questions that keep me up at night.
Me too. And we'll be exploring those questions in more detail in just a moment. But first, let's take a quick pause to gather our thoughts.
And we're back. I feel like we've really dug deep into this Sands of Anu project.
We have, haven't we? It's a meme coin, but it's trying to be so much more.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways about SOA? What should our listeners remember?
Well, I think the first takeaway is that SOA is really trying to change what it means to be a meme coin.
Not just another dog-themed joke.
Exactly. They're aiming for real utility within their ecosystem. You know, they want to give SOA holders access to governance rewards and all these special features.
Like we were talking about earlier, they want you to feel like you own a piece of the pyramid, not just a grain of sand.
That's a great way to put it. And that leads us to our second takeaway. SOA is putting so much emphasis on the community.
Yeah, the whole community-driven approach is what really sets them apart.
Remember those governance tools on AnuCrypto.com? They're giving users a real say in how the project develops.
It's like they're building a crypto democracy.
Right? And that's a powerful idea. But of course it comes with its own set of challenges.
Exactly. Can they maintain that level of engagement? Can they guide the project in a way that benefits everyone?
Those are the big questions, and only time will tell.
And speaking of time, our third takeaway is that SOA is set to launch before February 2025.
So if you're listening to this and you're intrigued, now's the time to start doing your own research.
Don't just take our word for it.
Head over to AnuCrypto.com, see what the community is saying. Read those articles we mentioned and decide for yourself if this is a project you want to get involved with.
It's all about empowering our listeners to make informed decisions.
Exactly. Now, before we sign off, I have to ask, given everything we've discussed, do you think SOA could actually spark a new trend in the crypto space?
Or will they just fade away like so many other projects?
It's hard to say. It's still early days. The crypto world is constantly changing.
But there's something about SOA's approach that feels different, don't you think?
I agree. They're not just relying on hype. They're putting in the work to build a community, create a valuable platform, and make sure their token actually has a purpose.
They're thinking long term.
And that's something I respect, because building a successful project in the crypto space takes a lot more than just luck.
It takes dedication, it takes innovation, and it takes a genuine belief in what you're doing.
Well said. Whether SOA becomes the next big thing or not, I think their attempt to bridge the gap between meme culture and utility is a positive step.
Because ultimately it's about bringing people together, creating something meaningful, and having a little fun along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, stay curious, and never stop learning.
The world of crypto is full of surprises. And who knows? Maybe the next deep dive will be inspired by you.
Until next time, happy exploring.